my takes. I got 5 takes coming off of yesterday's very interesting action in the National Football League.
Number 5.
The Raiders embarrassed themselves. That, of all the things that happened in the sport yesterday, that was embarrassing. Who were the 2 guys on Buffalo that got asked after their game Monday night if they were embarrassed? Remember, they got all put off?
Yeah, that was Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer.
I hope someone asked the Raiders if they were embarrassed by what they did yesterday. Look, getting blown out by Kansas City, that is what it is. They were humiliated by them twice this year. They lost 2 games to them by a combined score of 89-23. But I assume you've seen by now the way the Raiders started this game. They opened the game by gathering on the Chiefs logo at midfield and doing a big disrespectful team meeting sort of to get themselves hyped up in just pure disrespect of the home team Chiefs, who again had obliterated them a few weeks ago and then proceeded to demolish them yesterday. So Rex was trying to come up with the right word to describe it. I gave him unmitigated gall. I gave him chutzpah. Whatever it is you want to call it. The Raiders, that was a humiliating display. They're dancing on the logo. Then they go out. They gave up a fumble scoop score on the first play from scrimmage, and the game was never a game. That game was over immediately. So, to me, that was one of the most embarrassing displays. Again, you get blown out, it happens. The Chiefs are good and the Raiders are bad. But to do the nonsense they did before that game started and then not back it up, that is the ultimate in talking the talk and then not walking the walk.
Number 4.
Can you imagine if the Urban Meyer thing was happening in any other city? So let's just make sure everyone is aware of what's going on. There's stories left and right about how Urban Meyer has lost complete control of what's going on in Jacksonville. Everybody hates him. It is a disaster of biblical proportion. Can we make clear, can I remind you that Trevor Lawrence is the number 1 quarterback prospect that we have seen in generations and was one of the best known college players ever. He was in the playoff 3 times, right? All 3 years. He was only there 3 years. All 3 years he was there. So he walked into the league a superstar and has been largely forgotten. He threw 4 picks yesterday. It barely makes the talk shows. If this was happening in a different market, think about all the talk about the Justin Fields situation in Chicago. Think about all the talk about the Zach Wilson situation in New York. Neither of them are as bad as this. And it is an interesting indication of, if you get to go down to Jacksonville, maybe that anonymity is actually a benefit to Urban. Because if this was happening in New York right now, I can't even fathom what would be going on, right? No. If this was happening with the Giants, I'd just pick up the same exact situation. Or if it was the Jets, who easily could have had the number 1 pick in this draft. And if they had hired Urban Meyer instead of Robert Saleh, and the circumstances were exactly the same, can you imagine the attention this would be getting and what people would be saying?
This would be the number 1, 2, 3, and 4 story every single minute of the day in New York or any big market that actually cares about football.
It's amazing, and it's not that the people in Jacksonville don't care about football, but it's just not. Look, Jacksonville, I love you. God bless you, and I hope that you're listening, and I hope you enjoy the show. And again, in some way, this isn't your fault, but the Urban Meyer Trevor Lawrence thing is not getting 1/100th the attention that it deserves. This is one of the true NFL disasters that we have seen in quite some time. And caught up in the middle of it is like the next John Elway. And this could be ruining him. This is a complete mess.
Number 3.
All right, I looked it up. Someone does have to win the AFC North. I actually did a little research into this because it looks so easy to figure that maybe nobody will. So I did the digging. I had Hembo look it up for me. And in the entire history of football, no team, no division has ever not had a champion. So someone's going to win this thing, and for the life of me, I have no idea who. I mean, that was a crazy game. Now, as you know, a crazy day, excuse me. We know the Steelers lost on Thursday night. You had the Browns holding off the Ravens yesterday in what was a ridiculous game. Baker Mayfield, what can you say? I mean, whether it's the injuries or whatever it is, he's just not playing well. And then the Ravens losing Lamar Jackson, the Bengals losing a ridiculous game to San Francisco at home. They have no consistency. Someone has to win the division. For the life of me, who's it going to be? Hembo, who's going to win that division?
I still say Baltimore. FPI says Baltimore as well because they just have an advantage. Like if everyone was even now, you'd probably say Cincinnati. But Baltimore
has
the
one-game advantage. But how long is Lamar going to be out? It's a low ankle sprain. If they're going to play without Lamar Jackson, they're not winning any of these.
Well, especially
games.
if Lamar, even if he does play, but he can't run nearly as effectively. It does call into question how much offense they could generate.
Now, the last weekend of the season, as you know, are all divisional games. Bengals at Browns, Steelers at Ravens. One of those will probably be for the division. Someone has to win it.
Number 2.
Josh Allen, I thought, was freaking heroic yesterday. He had 417 yards of total offense yesterday. That was 90% of the Bills' total. They went deep into that game. I should have actually written the note down. At what point in the game were they when they actually handed the ball to Devin Singletary? It was the first running play that was not Josh Allen running with it of the entire day. Josh Allen had 12 carries yesterday. The next leading rusher on Buffalo had 4. 4. The running back who had the most carries on the day for the Bills yesterday had 4. Allen threw for 308 and ran for 112. I thought he might have been the best player in the NFL yesterday in a losing cause. And boy, did they get screwed. How many calls could they not get yesterday? I mean, that was a tough game to watch if you were a Bills fan. And I mean, he played you back in there. Josh Allen is every bit as good as people say he is, yes? Do you have it there, by the way, when they called the first running play?
Yes, the first run play was at the 11 o'clock mark in the third quarter.
The 11-minute mark in the third quarter. So they went 34 minutes of that game yesterday without a running play that was by anyone but their quarterback. I mean, after a Monday night game in which the Patriots threw 3 passes against them, they decided they're not going to run the ball at all. So I have a lot of questions about the Bills and the way they coach it. I have no questions about their quarterback. That dude is a stud. And then finally, number one. Aaron Rodgers wants you to know his toe hurts. I mean, has anyone ever wanted you to know anything more than he wants you to know that his toe hurts? By the way, he's got the best team. As I look around the league right now, I think they are the best team. Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.